Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to CBC So podcast number 69. I'm your host, Andy. Today we have the founder of FR Secure, Evan Francine, Executive Director of Security Studio Academy, Dave Tuckman, and he puts the Don in Jordan, the treasurer of the Minnesota CVCISO chapter. He makes TikTok videos from his car and frequents Dollar Dog Sunday at a local casino. Jordan Money Darlington.
Hot dog soup.
Also today,
does Jordan have any money yet?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Also today, we have the president of FR Secure, Oscar Minks.
Woo!
Couple of quick items before we begin. The CVCISO program begins April the 6th. Great opportunity to level up your skills in risk assessment, information security, and leadership, and meet with a lot of great people. The CVCISO Level 3 courses are available, and the API security course is live as well. Amazing opportunities. For more details, reach out via email. Discounts available. That's it for coming events.
Thank you, Andy.
Anything else?
Fantastic.
You want to say, Andy?
That was a fantastic introduction. If I was a listener, I'd be like, oh my God, this thing's got to be so professionally done.
How much are they paying that guy? He's so polished. Where'd they find this superstar?
Now we're halfway through the podcast, so
yeah, I think that's one of the things that people like, though, is like we're just real people, right? I mean, we don't polish things up because life isn't polished. Life isn't polished. Why the hell am I going to be polished? I mean, if you got your video on, you see what this polished face looks like. There's no such thing as polished here.
It's kind of shiny.
You're kind of shiny. All right. So we have our special guest, and Oscar, man, it's always awesome to see you. We have our one-on-ones every week. It's like one of the highlights of my week. And, love you, man. I'm happy that you're here.
Yeah. Love you too. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
When we talked about
legitimize this podcast.
This is, yeah.
Hey, I resemble that remark.
But this is how polished we are, right? 5 minutes, or not even that, like 30 seconds before we hit record, I'm like, what's the topic for this episode? And we're like, I don't know. What do you want to talk about? So there's that. And then we're like, what episode number is this? Andy said episode 69. This isn't 69, but we figured why not just do perpetual 69 from now on, because we lose track of what number we're on.
We'll never be
It's
confused
always
again.
episode 69
Amen.
on the CVCISO podcast.
Yeah. And so I don't know where your mind goes when we say this is episode 69. It was just a number because it's like 79 or is it 69? We don't know.
It's what
so
the
I don't know
kids
where
are
your
saying.
mind is going right. No, I think they're saying 6-7. Yeah. Dude, if your kids are doing 6-9, 6-9, you might want to check that. Pay attention to why your kids are doing 6-9, 6-9 and why they keep getting suspended from school.
Nah. You going all the way through it,
Yeah. You get those.
Like us.
Did you guys ever get here, let's get real right now. Like, have you guys, any of you ever been suspended from school when you were? Yeah.
Oh, must have been a couple times.
No, I didn't graduate to that level, but I got taken to the principal's office and whatnot.
All right. Okay.
I remember getting woken up in class being told they want you to go to the principal's office.
Yeah. Jordan, you ever get suspended?
Only once, and it was like the last day of my senior year.
You were like 6-9, 6-9.
I invented that.
How do you get suspended on the last day of school?
It was an accomplice in orchestrating a water balloon fight in the commons.
Yes.
But isn't the whole point of being suspended from school is they can't come to school anymore? Like, I'm not coming to school anymore anyway. So what's the purpose of suspending?
Well, expelled, it means you're not coming to school ever. Suspended is just like one day.
But it was the last day. So what's the one day you're not coming to school now?
Yeah.
Did you point this out to the administrators? Like, your job is to teach me critical thinking and stuff. And there's no critical thinking in this.
I almost couldn't walk down the aisle for graduation. That's one kid I think couldn't. I passed the buck to him and he.
Do you still get the diploma though?
You had better aim.
Yeah. I got my GED. No.
So you still get the diploma. You just don't have to dress up and do all the fancy stuff.
Yeah, I guess.
I should have done that, dude.
Kind of, yeah. It sounds like a win-win to me. So
Yeah.
So
once
I do have a funny story about. So we had two things. I'm sure everybody suspended where you can't come to school for a week or whatever. I was suspended once. But we also had an in-school suspension. And I don't know if you guys had that, where you just go sit in the room of shame for a day. I was a baseball player in high school. And our in-school suspension room was next door to the head coach's classroom, right? And so whenever I would get in-school suspension, he would come over every period. He would pull me out and he would take me next door and stand me in front of his class and be like, hey, everybody, this is Minks. He thinks he's cool. That's why he's in school suspension next door. And then make me go back over there. It's just a shaming exercise every single hour of the day I was in there. So I learned, it was like, I'd rather just get suspended. I don't want to be in that room anymore.
Did you learn your lesson?
I learned my lesson.
But would that mean that you needed to do something more egregious to
Yeah, right.
So
I was only suspended once, so to be fair, in school suspension, a couple, just dumb high school kid stuff.
Hey, what the? We can't hear you.
That's kind of on purpose. Yeah, I was talking to myself there a little bit, having a conversation before we were so rudely interrupted by this. What are we doing? A podcast here?
Where are we?
yes, that's
All right.
what the calendar says.
Calendar. You guys have one of those. So, okay. So here we are. This is like 2026. We were going to talk about, I think what we agreed to talk about was, what are our plans for 2026? How are we going to stay focused? I would like to know, if I was like a vCISO, like, how do I stay on track for what I set out for in 2026? How will I grow in 2026? What are some opportunities that I can be a better vCISO or better person or better father or better, wife, at the end of 2026 than I was at the beginning of 2026. And so I'd be interested in hearing, from Oscar, what your strategy is for this coming year, because you also, not only do you have, the home stuff, but you lead a company, right? And so what are we going to do in 2026 and what have we set out for so that we find success?
Yeah.
I think it'd be a fun conversation.
It's a big conversation.
Yeah.
There's a lot. And it's where do we start, really? I obviously have my personal goals, but we don't have to dive into those today. And so in line with really what you were saying, there's a lot of just trying to be a better version of me and always trying to be the best version of me. I'm not a big resolutions guy. I'm a guy that likes to commit to changes or just commit to an idea and focus on the commitment as I move forward. So for me personally, it's just continue to be a better person. When I look at the business world, though, and thinking about FR Secure, it's a really interesting time right now, I believe, as we enter into 26. And I think this is always continually evolving, right? And if we talk about vCISO, since this is the vCISO podcast, I think something that we're all observing right now is there's more people trying to get in the game, right? And we're seeing a lot of people trying to get in the game that maybe shouldn't be in the game, right? So they're offering these vCISO services, and they're not particularly what I would call a good vCISO service, right? And so we've seen this a couple of years ago too. We've seen this for years, like on the pen testing side, where there's a lot of folks selling pen tests that aren't really what I would consider a pen test, right? And they come into the market, they're half the price, and they're selling garbage to clients, the clients that need these services and rely on these services. We've seen that same evolution over the last 1 to 2 years, and I think it's at a peak. vCISO services, where there's a lot of folks getting into the vCISO game that have no stinking idea what they're doing in that game, have no business being in that game, but we're forced to respond to that, right? And so for us, what we have to focus on is those differentiating factors. Like, what is a real vCISO program? What should a vCISO program be providing? How do you measure that value that we're, providing to our clients? And so I think that's a big thing, is really responding to the increased competition in the market and identifying ways that we can not only differentiate ourselves, but also, I think it's important to me too, is we can always sit here and say we're the best, right? Because we've been the best, and I believe we are the best. But at the end of the day, also, are we really making sure that we're continuing to push and evolve our own programs? Because we can't stay stagnant. We have to continue to identify opportunities to make these services better and better and better, because the world's changing, the clients we're serving are changing, their environments are changing. And so we have to continually evolve our services as well.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. How about you guys, Nada and Huda and Holy? What things are you,
I graduated to Nada. That's great.
Thanks,
man.
That's because I love you, brother. I felt guilty, and every time I looked up there, I'm like, no, he's not that. He's a beautiful human being.
Hey, you folks at home, we'll fill you in later on what we're talking about. It's
right. So because a lot of people are resolution people, and I get it. I try not to rip on it. I'm not a resolution person either. And so, but I also want to be better. There were certain things. If I'm honest with myself, I look back. That's one thing I do like about this time of year, the first of the year kind of thing, is it's a great opportunity to look back at the last year, objectively. And I hold myself, I think, to a higher standard than anybody else. It may not seem like it on the outside, but I'm my own worst critic. So I look back at 2025 and I think, did I succeed, or did I complete what I set out to complete last year? And I think, honestly, I didn't. Did I set my bar too high? Maybe I did. I don't know. But what I set out to do last year, I didn't complete. There are 2 projects that were really important to me in 2026 or 2025 that are still there. They're still important to me. I was supposed to finish a book. The Unsecurity 2 book is one thing. I was also, Project Broken Mirror was supposed to be much further ahead than it is today. And then you look personally. And so this is one of the things that maybe it does help people, but I look at personally, I look at my family life, which is more important. Is my relationship with my wife stronger than it was last year, at the beginning of the year? I mean, objectively, and the good news on that is, in my opinion, it has, but my opinion, that's half the equation. Let me go ask my wife, that's the truth.
Sure.
Shit, So I think a lot of people, kind of pussyfoot around these things. They don't really go after it. They don't go after the heart of the matter. Like, how many people really would go to their wives or their husbands or their significant others and ask them, am I better now than I was 12 months ago? And because that's a risky, question, especially if you're not, so you can either ignore it. Let's say I haven't progressed in my marriage. I haven't progressed as a father. And if I don't go through this exercise, then it's almost like you're just living in ignorance. I'm just ignoring it. Because what if I'm worse? At what point are you going to? And so you take this to like your professional career, like as a CVCISO or as a vCISO or as anything, as an engineer, a garbage collector, a lawyer, whatever. I think there's so much value in progressing, being better, growing, as a professional, as a human. So when I do that, I look back and I see a lot of places where I think I could have done a lot better. I should have done a lot better. And then you go to like, okay, what am I going to do about it? You can either make excuses, right? That's what I think a lot of people do. Well, it would have been better if my wife wouldn't have been such a bitch. What? I mean, that's not even part of the equation. Are you better? So you go through this exercise and then, all right, 2026, what am I going to do to correct some of these things? Like, what am I going to do to get these things accomplished so that when I'm at the end of this year, I'm not looking back and having the same issue that I had this past year. You know what I'm saying?
I really like that philosophy. And we're, talking about the question, like maybe asking your significant other, am I better today? Are we better today than we were a year ago? In order to do that, like, you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, right? And then you better be ready for the response, because if it is uncomfortable as well, you have to identify a way to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And I think that's an important lesson for personal and for business, because I personally believe that all of our opportunities for growth, improvement, and change, and this is personal or business, are through uncomfortable situations. So sometimes seeking ways to identify those uncomfortable situations is critically important in our own personal and our business evolution.
I agree. And so if you apply this to like a vCISO, I think one of the things that a lot of us haven't done in this industry, and it's not just this industry, it's probably maybe many industries, is ask yourself the difficult question, why am I here? Truly, why am I here? Am I here for the money? Am I here because I like helping people? Am I here, whatever the purpose and the reason is, because that's going to be your measurement on whether you're better this year than you were last year. If it's money, well, then that's a pretty easy one to measure, right? I'm making more money than I was last year. Well, okay, good for you. Are you making as much as you should have made? It leads to these other questions, but, I would challenge you, is that a right motivation? Is that a good motivation? Being a person with a different perspective on things. Like I'm here because I want to make progress on this mission. The mission is to fix the broken industry. So when you look at the broken industry and what things are broken, this is even the crazy part. Like if you ask, and go do this, maybe if you want to just test me out on this, but go ask 10 people in information security that have been around for a while and ask them if we're more secure today than we were 10 years ago. It's hard to do it. Are we more secure today than we were a year ago? Because that's a pretty small, window. And what I found is, and people that I've asked that to, it depends on if they're mission-driven folks or non-mission driven folks. It depends on whether they're people that have actually asked these questions of themselves or they haven't. The people that haven't typically think that we have made progress, that we are more secure today than we were 10 years ago. The people that I think are more mission-driven say we're not more secure than we were 10 years ago, which is kind of weird because the truth is we're not more secure, right? Because that leads you to a whole bunch of other questions. And I think the beginning of a year is a good time for you to stop and just reflect on all this shit. Because in all of this, if you really dig through all of it and ask yourself these difficult questions, what you're going to find for yourself is a purpose, the true purpose on why you're actually here. Because for most people, the money, it comes and goes. You lose a job. If it was money, you lose your job, then does that mean that you lost your purpose? That's kind of a fleeting purpose. You need to be something, I think, a little bit more long lasting, a little bit bigger than yourself. So it's crazy. So the purpose for me is this. And then I look at, like, has the industry gotten more secure than it was 10 years ago? The true answer is no, because if you want to measure that, you'd have to understand what information security is. Information security is risk management. That's it. It's risk. So is it more risky today than it was 10 years ago, or is it less risky? That might provide you some clarity on the answer to that question.
Yeah. And the risks from 10 years ago compared to the risks that are there today are just exponentially different. The goalposts just keep getting moved. So, there's just, and it's cool. I'm sitting here kind of being more on the quiet side, just listening to you guys, but all of what you're describing can be unpacked in different levels or layers. And, but part of the root of it is being open, willing to be vulnerable and ask those questions. I remember so many people, I'm not a resolution guy either. Would echo what Oscar said, just about continuous improvement and reflection and just trying to be a better Dave to the best that I can. But when you get that chance to kind of, how can I say it? You have to put yourself out there, but like people will have resolutions and you're kind of looking in the mirror going, all right, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to stop doing this or I'm going to do that. But the real way to measure is to get that feedback from others of how can I be better in the environment that I am in with each of you and whether it's personal or work.
Well, I think first you have to start with this commitment. Like, am I going to be honest with myself?
Yeah.
Because once you start getting that self part, then it's a little less risky, I think, to go outside of yourself. But even that's one of the reasons I think a lot of resolutions fail is you focus on the resolution. You don't focus on the purpose of the resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want to lose weight. Why? The purpose is always the why. Why do you want to lose weight? Well, I want to live longer or whatever. I mean, dig into that stuff and then you'll find that the resolutions actually become part of your life, which is kind of the point in all of this. And on the vCISO side, where this, I think equates to what I do professionally is when I look at my customers, are they better off than they were when we met? If you look, if I've spent a year with this customer, so I spent all of 2025 as this company's vCISO, did they get value out of the money they spent with me? Would I have paid that same amount of money for what I got, for what they got in return? Because if the answer is no, well, then there's a great opportunity for you to grow as a vCISO, right? You'll sleep better. The truth is, you focus on the mission, your mission, you'll make money. It doesn't work the other way around. So let's say that, you look at, your top 3 customers, your top three vCISO customers, objectively, they paid me, this one customer, let's say they paid me $120,000 this year. Did they get $120,000 worth of value? Would I have paid $120,000 if I was in their shoes for what they got in return? Because again, if the answer is yes, well then great. Continue that part and look for other places. I think that maybe you can benefit more, or maybe provide more value. If the answer is no, I mean, you're stealing money. Potentially, right? I mean, how long is that going to last? And, I think Oscar touched on, how the future of vCISO continues to evolve. And I think the ones that are the vCISOs who are in this game for the right reasons are always trying to look ahead. We're always trying to improve our service, regardless of the fact that the vCISO industry itself is still so far behind. There's lots of people in this industry who have no idea what the hell they're doing, and they are stealing money from their customers. They're not providing value to their customers. And that was the initial, I think, motivation to start the CVCISO program. We have to get those people out of the industry. We're going to provide value to these customers, by trying to set a standard of what value actually looks like in this industry. So if you're one that's not providing value, hopefully you'll either learn to provide value or we'll push you out of the industry because you suck, right? So if you are one that's committed to providing value, well, then you'd want to do things like learn more about how I can do vCISO better, the importance of asset inventories and asset management, the importance of incident response, the importance of risk management, of metrics, of what I need to communicate to executives, on and on and on. You've never arrived. So where we're already at for people that are committed as vCISOs to being the best vCISOs we can possibly be, we're already looking for things like, how does AI affect or change what a vCISO does? It does change. So for you just to say, well, it doesn't matter. No, it matters, because I'll tell you the types of vCISOs that are going to be put out of business. If you've put your hat on this one, compliance-based vCISOs, you'll be gone in 2 years, guaranteed. vCISOs who lead with products, you'll also be gone in 2 to 3 years, because those things can all be replaced by AI. The things that can't be replaced by AI are the things that can't be automated. Things like accountability, things like making human decisions based on context. AI won't have the context that a human will have. You know what I mean? So it's all these things. So the sooner you can get on this train of like holding yourself accountable and trying to be the best vCISO you can be, you're investing in your longevity, a career that you're going to be able to have. If you're into the shortcut, I'm money motivated, I want to make as much money as I possibly can right now, you'll be out of business.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think another point you hit on too, like kind of going back, Evan, was thinking about this. Like if you're looking at yourself right now and saying, did I provide value? Would I have paid for those services that I provided if I was in their shoes a year ago? I think that's a really good exercise. And it's kind of back to our first question, like asking someone that loves you, am I a better person than I was last year? Are you better because of my services than you were last year? I think that's super important. I think it's also important to know too, that if that answer is yes, it doesn't mean that if you repeat the same actions this year, a year from now, that answer will still be yes, right? And so I think we have to continually evolve. We have to continually find new ways to provide value to our clients as part of this exercise, because nothing is static, And back to the question too, of thinking about like, are we more secure today than we were 10 years ago? That's a big hard no, right? Absolutely not. And we've had lots of conversations about this. And the one simple way I like to think about this is complexity is the enemy of security. So I would ask anyone, are our environments more or less complex today than they were 10 years ago?
Right.
Obviously more complex. So no, we are not more secure today than we were 10 years ago.
Right.
I think also
we continue to adopt new technology faster than our ability to use it responsibly. And somebody has to step into that void. And that's such a big part of what a vCISO is. Show me one organization on the planet that doesn't need information security leadership. Everyone does. So then it's a question of, where does that leadership come from? It can come from within, right? You could appoint somebody to lead information security. You could learn yourself as an employee of the organization. Those are all awesome. Those are actually even better if you can do it, because you've got, personal ownership within the organization. But if there's no leadership from within, then you need to go out to get that leadership, which is where we are, right? We consult the business to make those good information security risk decisions, and then we implement those risk decisions. That's it. Sorry, Nada, what were you going to say?
Nada was going to say, it's a step-by-step thing. When we talk about resolutions, I don't mind resolutions. I think it's kind of how you approach them. If you just think saying that you resolve to do something is good enough, it's not. And if you think you're going to resolve to do something and then put your head down and come up for water a year later and see where you're at and hope you made it, that's going to be a risky decision. It's a step-by-step discipline that I think you have to track along the way. So, and that applies to all those areas. If you want to lose weight, it starts by, step by step. If you want to be a better husband, you can't just hope you are, and then at the end of the year say, how did I do, without having something to guide you along the way. And so I think,
if you apply that approach, you'll find out, when you get the papers.
Right.
That's where the feedback loop is so valuable.
And that's the same. Because the logic is really similar. Apply that same thing to a vCISO, right? If you continue down this path and you don't have these regular check-ins on where you're at, how you're doing, are you getting better or worse, the breach happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you'll find out. You'll find out when the breach happens, and then it's like almost every incident response you do, it's like, oh, we didn't even know that system existed. Whose system is that? What does it do? It's like, oh my God. Had you been, I think reflective, critical of yourself, you wouldn't have to answer those questions, because you would have checked in, you would have found it, you would have known it.
Yeah, the answer would be more self-evident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked my wife just yesterday on the way home from Starbucks, because she's got a Starbucks addiction, which I'm not interested in treating. I enable that addiction. But we were driving home, and I was like, and I was honest with her. I'm like, do you think tell me how I've been the last couple of weeks. Have you noticed any differences in me? And she's like, yeah, you seem nicer. I'm like, oh, that's good. Like anything else? Because she'll tell me the critical truth. Because one of the books I've been reading is this like marriage book. Like I want to be a better husband, you know? I'm not afraid to admit that shit because it's like either you commit to being better or you're probably going to end up being worse.
Right.
It's not, you know,
Takes intention,
and the same applies professionally, same applies, you know, personally, but I don't.
And every day is a new opportunity to course correct.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. I think sometimes I take it for granted that, because to me, I think if you do it enough, it becomes like almost second nature and you take it for granted that like, doesn't everybody do this? Doesn't everybody?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I mean, the mental discipline, whether it's personal or professional, will help develop that kind of muscle memory in how you react and how you proceed, react, and all of those things.
And that just reminded me of like the importance of the people you surround yourself with. Because I'm surrounded by people that are way out of my league, honestly, like in terms of just quality individuals that hold me accountable. And I get to take little bits and pieces from them and apply it to my life. And the same goes with like in your professional life. We have these associations that we go to all the time, like whether it be ISACA or ISSA or ISC squared, or I don't know. But are those things providing value to you or are they not? Objectively, are they making you a better professional or not? I think in a lot of cases, you know, and there's a lot of local chapters to these things, but I've been to some where it's like, damn, they're really not producing, in my opinion, as an outsider, they're really not producing better professionals here. But then there are others where it's like, damn, this is one I would definitely belong to. Because as we build our CVCISO community, we have to keep an eye on that too. We don't want, it's almost like a disease. A little cancer cell develops. And if you don't knock that shit out right away, you know, it spreads to the rest of the team, the rest of the group. Because that'll help you become, I think, a better vCISO.
It's hard to beat a shoulder to shoulder mentor, you know, and all this. You know, you can get all the training you want, but to have someone that's standing next to you, helping you, can't beat that, I don't think.
Yeah, that real life kind of wisdom thing.
Like one of the things we're doing at Academy is one of the key metrics. There is a body of knowledge in each of the courses, but one of the real measurements of success on our side is if the student's leaving the course better or more evolved than they started it. You know, that we can challenge their perceptions and have those conversations. We can see when that switch flips and who the person is. And it's honestly the most beautiful part of what we do is to see where that difference is taking place. Like, so one of the things that we really started implementing is Chatham House rules in the classes, where basically it's saying that what's said in the class stays in the class, or you can use it, but you don't mention who said it or who it was about. And we don't record the classes anymore. And the whole intent is this is a safe space. We can talk the content. We can talk about how the content's impacting you with your clients or your work. And the conversations get real on a whole other level.
Yeah.
And it's been beautiful.
But and also in a healthy way, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a very safe space for people to say, look, I don't get this. And then you just spend some more time working on that, trying to help them out on it. And it's a really cool thing.
Do you feel the weight? Let me ask you this, Dave, as the leader of the Academy, do you feel this weight, the weight of somebody spends X number of dollars with us? And I think more importantly, you spend X number of hours with us, because you can always make more money. You can't make more time. They spend a lot. You talk about the personal investment that they make to be better vCISOs, to be a CVCISO. And then I think we owe it to them. And I'm sure you do this. I'm asking a rhetorical question. Did we provide the value commensurate with the investment that they made?
Yeah, it hits us every day with every student, you know, that is our, you know, that we're there for them. And ironically, it makes such a unique value differentiator in what we're trying to do versus other services that are out there. But yeah, that's our North Star.
Yeah. Because I know that the same question applying to, our guest, Oscar, I know he feels the weight of this too, because I talk to you guys regularly. So when you're leading in 2026, what things are on your mind? I mean, what things when you're thinking about not losing sight of the mission, providing value to customers, but also providing value to our employees, making sure that they don't destroy their marriages while they're working so hard. I mean, holy shit. When you think about it, leading and trying to set goals for 2026, there's a lot of shit that goes into that, man. So what's going through your mind when I say all that?
A lot, man. Honestly,
Yeah.
You know me as a leader. I'm a person that I believe our personal well-being is of utmost importance. That healthy minds and healthy bodies develop and create happy people. Happy people are motivated people. Motivated people do a really good job, right? And so for me, when I look at everything, it's like we're in this world where, we talk about like things are constantly evolving. We have to continue to push ourselves and evolve ourselves. And that applies to all of our programs, all of our employees, all of our awesome, security analysts that we have here. And so I always keep in front of mind, like, how do we curate an environment where we are high paced? We are, volume producers. We can do a lot of work. We can evolve and constantly be the best top tier service, but I can also protect my employees and I can give them balance and offer them opportunities and encourage them opportunities to be healthy, both mentally and physically. And it's tough, business is business and then people are people. And so I'm always trying to navigate, like, how do we merge those and, create an environment where we can fulfill the mission, we can fulfill the needs of the business while also curating a place where all of our employees are happy. They have the opportunity to be healthy. I can't make people be healthy, but I can encourage people to be healthy and I can provide an environment that allows that as well. And I love too, Dave, what you were talking about with creating this environment of like a safe space. I think that is so important. And not just within the vCISO course, but within our teams, that we work with every day is ensuring, we got a rule. It's a no asshole rule. So we don't have any assholes that work at FR Secure. And that's a hard, fast rule that will always be in place. And I think if you have that, that's one step in a very complex, solution to start to encourage people. It's safe to ask the questions. No one's going to look down on you. No one's going to say you're a dumbass. No one's going to say, how do you not know that? And if you do, we got a problem. But creating these spaces where everybody can step up and say, hey, maybe I should know this, but I don't know this. Because if you're just pretending you know this and you go throughout your day and your career, what's going to happen? We're going to fail our clients, right? Because we've created an environment where people aren't comfortable sharing information, asking hard questions, or asking what they may even feel like are silly questions. And so I think those are things too. It's not new for 2026, right? These are just things that I'm constantly thinking about. But I do think that the environment continually evolves and changes. And so if we just sit here and we say, yeah, I've created that environment, we're good. It's just going to last forever. It's the same thing I was talking about with vCISO. If you do the same thing the next year, you're probably going to fail your clients. And so if I do the same thing this year for all of our employees and all of our clients, we're probably going to fail. So we can't do that. We got to be looking at ourselves in the mirror and really understanding, like, where are we succeeding and how can we succeed more? Where are we failing and how can we correct that quickly? Because if you don't grade yourself and try to identify these, you're going to assume everything's good. And then what's going to happen in the blink of an eye is this culture you've built, which is so important, will degrade, it will erode. And then what's special about everything that we have will disappear.
Right.
That's so important to create that team atmosphere and culture. And it's very encouraging to hear leaders fully embracing that. I think that's, your team is your greatest asset, And I think, I was talking to another CEO and they have, work-life balance is in their values, but they added a word to it. It was life guilt-free. Because and I thought that was a very interesting thing because a lot of companies might say work-life balance, but people are scared to truly pursue that type of a thing because they don't know how it's going to be treated. People talk behind their back and, oh, look at this guy. And so to create that environment where it's like guilt-free, we truly believe in the health of our employees is a differentiator, I think, and it's what the world needs. And to touch again on what Dave was saying about those classes too, I think, after going through the budget course, those sessions were super valuable. And being able to have people free to share their perspectives. I wanted to bring it up last week with Lyle because he was one of those people that, we're going through the project together and he approached it differently, and he explained it and he was kind of applying it to his business. And it was this atmosphere where we could all gain value because we were free to talk and share and really, get into it. So those things are super valuable.
Work-life balance is, I'm glad you brought that up, and I'd like to chat with you guys about this. That's a tough one. It really is. And I think about this like, okay, I can't impact your life balance. I can impact your workload, but I can't force balance in your personal time. You know what I mean? And then I also think a lot about like work-life balance is not uniform, meaning what's a good balance for you may not be the same as it is for Dave, right? And so if I try to apply a uniform approach to work-life balance across all my employees, I realize I'm going to fail because it's truly unique for everyone. And so I actually pulled that from our core values and we changed that because I realized like I cannot control your balance. You have to control your balance. What I can do is allow you the environment where you can control your balance. And realistically, it all went back to well-being again. And so we switched that value to we promote well-being because I realized balance is unique for everyone. Some people love to work 60 hours a week. They stinking love the job. They want to be in it. Other people, they barely want to scratch 40. And that's okay. Because I want the best version of you. I want the motivated version of you. And so, yeah, for me, we pulled that and I'm like, I just want to really think about things that are, how can we positively influence well-being and kind of let our staff tell us what that balance is and let them self-manage that balance.
Yeah, that's a great point. At Top Dog, our value was, we called it live a balanced life. It wasn't work-life balance. It was live a balanced life. And you're absolutely right. Because I at a team meeting, I was going through that value and I brought up the point that like, so many people think when you say work-life balance, they think time at work versus time at home. And it's like, no, that's not necessarily what it means. Like, it's not like everyone should make sure they have even amount of time at work and at home. It's different. It's a well-being thing. I love that you put that perspective on it.
No, Oscar, that's huge because what I've learned, and even more so in this role, is you're right. I mean, each of us may or may not have children, just out of the four of us here. And if the answer is yes, we have children, the children are of different ages and it's a different environment. So the best thing that you can do is just create those parameters and kind of an outline, and then allow, because Andy and I do this a lot where it's, I was kind of sharing how we try and do it for students. So they get value out of the course, versus their time and their money. But it's the same with Andy and I on whatever the topic is that happens behind the scenes, in trying to make Academy better. And so I just try to say, I'm here, I'm available, I'm going to be honest, we're going to be transparent and let the conversation flow from there. And it gives you the opportunity. So like if it's Oscar, if it's you and I can hear what you're saying and I can better meet where you're at. But just creating that space or the environment for that to flow is kind of the magic.
Yeah, I think that idea kind of go back to even what I was talking about with balance, like everybody's not uniform, right? And that applies to all our relationships as well. As a CVCISO, when you are developing relationships with your clients, understanding that like we all operate differently, right? And so a uniform approach is never going to be the same. We can't have a blueprint that can never be deviated from. I think the beauty in really being an efficient and a great vCISO is having the creativity to be able to really ingest the situation that you're in, ingest the people you're working with, the skill sets they have, their communication habits, even understanding, like, I like to think about like our bio clocks, right? And that we aren't uniform there either. I have some people that are in their peak brain time, maybe at midnight. Whereas some people, maybe that peak time is at 5 a.m. in the morning. Maybe some people are the middle of the day, right? And so I think first as yourself to be a vCISO is don't hold yourself to this idea that like we have to cram everything into a box and we have to work within this box and time frame. Be creative and really try to learn yourself and when do I operate the best and try to do that hardest work when your brain is at peak function as well,
Great
and
point.
I think for me too, I try to apply that space to everyone I can, like on my team today, is understanding it's like, hey, there's some hard things we have to do, right? We have to adhere to certain things in our schedules each day. Client facing meetings that we have, you got to be on those meetings at the time they're scheduled. Internal meetings, you have to be on that. But outside of that, when you have your work that you're doing, like, I want you to have the freedom. I don't feel like you're forced to be at your desk from 8 to 5 to do this work. Like, and I think that's back to balance, right? And back to well-being, providing that environment where it's like, hey, I do my best tests at midnight. Cool. I want you to do that. I want you to be enabled to do that and want to work with you. And I think just having that idea of flexibility, the idea of understanding there is no uniformity in this world, and applying that knowledge when we're in these vCISO engagements is extremely, extremely helpful, and being able to strive for success.
Yeah, and to your point, it's where we can evolve as people, because in doing that, it applies to work, to personal relationships, friendships, even family, in certain ways too. And then if you take that, and we're talking about being a vCISO, delivering that perspective and that model to the client is going to be such a unique value add differentiator versus what we were talking about if someone's chasing the money, pushing tools, or things like that. It's a very, very different conversation. And foundationally, going back to saying, all right, we were together for 12 months in 2025. Are things better? That creates an environment where it can flow. And, because when I was doing the consulting, I remember one of the biggest things clients would say is, I want to know what you know. And you can try and help them uplift themselves. And that's why having the opportunity for the role I'm in now was just so second nature in that way, and just allowed it to flow.
I like you brought that up too. And that's something I was thinking about when Evan said something earlier. I think that's the whole goal here. Everybody's in this program, like, they want to know what we know, what you know, the experiences, how we built this framework. And I think I would just share like a little insight from myself here. I've been a practitioner for over 20 years now. I know we've all been doing this for a while. And the beauty and the thing that I really love about working in this space is I can be an expert, but I'm never a master of all. And I constantly have an opportunity to continue to learn and grow. That will never, ever stop. I can do this until the day I die, and I will still have the opportunity to learn more about the work that we're doing and to continue to grow. And so, like, I urge everybody, when you come into this, to understand, like, you don't just take the course when we're done. We're really starting the work at that point, right? You're developing your foundation so that you can go and be successful and strive on your own. But we have to have this mentality that we are continual and perpetual pupils. We always have to be learning to evolve.
Yeah, and I see that in the spirit of Dave and Andy and everyone else too, that of providing that environment for continual learning too. I mean, because I have the great opportunity to kind of see behind the curtain a little bit. It's like the amount of things planned, and how fast and ambitious you guys are at kind of getting those things done. I think it just is a testament to that philosophy. Like, not just, hey, it's a CVCISO course, great, you passed, great. It's continually putting workshops together, putting more content, like better content, like staying relevant. I think that's why I love it.
No, thanks. And that kind of, there's that feedback loop, of, we're kind of what we're working on, and what makes sense is, we share what we know. But, well, heck, even Oscar, to your point, it's the art of trying to be a mentor and a mentee at the same time, because there's always room for improvement in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And never discredit that, even if you are in the mentor place in the state and you're working with your mentee, never discredit that there's a lot of opportunity to even learn from your mentee. And I see people get into this, and it's like, oh, I've been here, I've got the tribal knowledge, I'm the wizard, I know everything. You can't give me anything. And it's the ultimate failure, because I believe that we all have, regardless of, your experience level, your time in this, whatever, we all have unique perspectives and unique ideas. And so there is an opportunity to learn from everyone if you give them, if you give yourself a chance to listen.
Oh, dude, you're so right. I don't want to say I learned more from being a mentor, but to see where people are coming from and their values and what is their definition of success from the mentorship. That's a good challenge, you know.
Yeah, and not everything, initiate a direct change from those perspectives, but it is nice to know that those perspectives exist, I mean, just understanding how many different ways to view something there is. I mean, not to make this like a thing, but it's like you look at, current events right now in Minnesota and like the videos of the events and how many people can watch that video and see two completely different things.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
It's just like the blue dress or green dress thing. It's like, that's the world we live in, is people can watch the same exact thing, same exact angles. They're all talking about angles. You got to look at this angle and just see two completely different things.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that either person is right or wrong either. It's just a
Right.
different perspective and a different interpretation of the information that presented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was reading an article last night where, from what happened in Minnesota with the gal, that some people were using AI to try and identify who the shooter was. And they were coming back with incorrect results. And so this whole little poop storm just starts snowballing in all of those ways. And that really doesn't have as much to do with vCISO, but it totally does with risk management.
Absolutely.
And
That's the world we live in, right? Like the Star Tribune had to put out a post, kind of warning people that, hey, there's some disinformation going around about, this, who this shooter is. And, so yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Like the amount of data getting just pushed out there in this place called social media, and with AI and whatever else, like it all can be manipulated and just crap. And what is it doing to our society?
It's very relatable to what we're talking about here, because we have the same problems in information security. It's just people blindly accept there's a technology solution for what we're trying to achieve. Oh, I got the technology that'll solve that. Okay, let me buy that. Let me put it in place. Boom, we're done, right? We're good now? No, we're not. Yeah, we just can see that as a perpetual problem. I do want to ask you guys something kind of lighthearted here and fun. I know Dave Reddit's a lot. I don't know if you guys do or not. But there's a subreddit called Is This AI? Are you guys familiar with this?
No.
Check it out.
No,
it's a lot of fun.
Rabbit hole.
Yeah,
It's
really
mind blowing.
mind-blowing. Yeah, but it's, people finding images or videos, right? And they're unsure, like, hey, is this AI? And the community comes together, or like, oh, we can look at the tile patterns, they're very inconsistent, or look at the weaves on this basket are inconsistent, or watch this guy's nostril, it shifts at 0.37 seconds here. And so like you see, like it's getting really, really, really good, like really good. But it still has its faults, but you still have to have a really good eye to identify what those faults are.
Right.
You should check it out. Tell me what you guys think after you look in there. You're going to get tricked. I'm sure you're going to see something like, no, that's real. But it's always AI. It's always AI.
Yeah. So that's Is This AI?
Is This AI? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And that'll tie back to what Jordan was saying, how it can be one image or one video, and you're going to get different perspectives.
Are those
Jordan's checking it out right now, right?
Are those
I'm going to
Bob
follow
Barker
Jordan's lead.
ones AI?
What's
Those are
that?
real, right? The Bob Barker and the
I haven't even seen. I don't know what you're talking about. I want to see.
You
this
haven't
though.
seen? Oh God, yeah,
No.
I
Send them to
totally.
Dave.
Yeah, I've been in different other subreddits here. I'm gonna. All right, I have joined it. No, there are. Well, just with the tools that are available now, just for not even within vCISO or stuff, just as a human being, what you have access to create are several videos of Bob Barker on The Price is Right, where the contestant wins in a completely inappropriate prize.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm fine
And
with that.
then there's other ones where they'll take different people from Time and have them in the WWE. So they're wrestling them.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And you'll have Gandhi going against Genghis Khan, and yeah. So you can look at those and go, well, I'd really think this would be cool if it was real, but I know it's AI,
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds fun, man. I'll have to check those out today.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we're coming up on the hour. So if anybody does have any kind of closing thoughts, but Oscar, dude, awesome to have you here. Anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate you all having me on. Let's do it again sometime soon.
Totally look forward. Always appreciate when I get the time with you. So
Absolutely.
as well as you guys as well. So does
Let's make
anybody have any?
2026 awesome?
2026 is going to be great. Let's go. I'm really optimistic and excited for
Yeah. 2026 is going to be awesome. And I think there's a lot in the content here of how we can reflect on wanting to, how we can improve if we want to as individuals. And what we do internally will play out through our relationships with others. So
Amen.
cool.
Holy.
All right, cool. You want to take us home,
Thanks,
Andy?
guys.
Boy, I don't know what this was brought to you by, but it was a wonderful podcast.
Brought to you by
That's all I
Reddit.
got.
Is it AI?
Brought to you by Is It AI? There you go.
Yeah. Cool. All right, cool. Well, thanks, everybody. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a great
See
day.
you guys. Thanks.
Right
See ya.
on. Thanks.
See ya.